You know what? I think if I better wait till questions on the end, and we'll definitely cover. Please don't forget your question. Constitution must state these two principles, in my opinion, and we must have a clarifying amendment to the Constitution, making sure that the money power is distributed to the people. We have freedom of choice in currencies. That's really all we'd have to do. I've been in touch with Bernard Van Nothaus, the American Liberty Currency fellow, just agreed to be a consultant with us on our committee, and also Dr. Gary North, who's been in a written battle with Ellen Brown, who's the author of Web of Debt, and we're going to have the two of them debating on our monetary committee, which I think will be a really good, solid thing to have done. And that they're the greenbackers that Ron Paul calls them, the greenbackers who think if we get rid of the Federal Reserve and allow the government to print our currency, fiat money, with legal tender laws, that will solve all our problems, fund universal health care, everything will be wonderful, and we'll have paradise. Okay? And that's what these people really think. And they're so, it's so easy to fall into their thing. They talk about getting rid of the income tax, we won't need. We have majority vote in this. We have universal suffrage in this country. We're not going to be able to get rid of that, unfortunately, with the Republic. Everybody's going to vote. Do you think once these people start producing all the money, the fiat money in the government that they want to fund all these things, who do you think is going to get voted into office? Guys like us who want to limit the power of government, or people that want to give away everything? It's going to be worse, as bad as it is now, if not worse. People need to understand this. Welfare. Welfare system in this country. And I have Martin Gross's book, A Call for Revolution, here, and then there's another one about the welfare of compassion that we used to have in this country before the federal government got involved. It's a great book. But get this, 72% of all the money that goes to the federal government for welfare, 72% of it, you'll have your chance.
No, that's wrong, okay? That statement right there is dead wrong.
It's from Martin Gross.
Talk,
that's
okay?
from, that's from Martin.
You've got to hear this.
Pat, you might
The
be
thing
rude.
is that it's coming from the people's own welfare.
Pat, you need
From
to
their
let
own
him
account.
finish his presentation. I interrupted once and I tolerated it. I will not tolerate it again.
Okay, if you don't want to hear the truth, I don't
No,
care.
Pat, we want to hear from you. Just let me get through the presentation, please. So anyway, this is from that factor is from what Martin Gross did in Call for Revolution. Is he uses the government's own statistics, their own numbers. This is the number he came up with. I've read all of his books. They seem highly credible to me. He sources all of his numbers in his books, where he got the numbers from, in the government's own records. 72% of the money that we pay in taxes to the federal government for welfare stays in Washington, D.C. and goes to the welfare bureaucracy. And it's about the same for education. So those are just numbers from the own government sources. I don't know what his problem is. Bottom up is the only way to help people get out of poverty and hardship. All of this should be done at the local level, and that's what it was done before the federal government was involved. Everything was done from the bottom up. People helping people, one-on-one. You know, welfare, forced charity is an oxymoron. In other words, if you want to be charitable to somebody, you've got to be able to be there to help them get on their feet. When you have a federal government that there's no relationship between the people in the community and the people that are getting these welfare checks. And so it just doesn't work. It's created a monstrosity. It's not helping the people either.
It's one thing to help, it's another thing for him to live off of it indefinitely.
Yeah, living off of that. But see, our whole concept of welfare or charity before the federal government got involved was to help people get on their feet. That was what it was all about. And if somebody couldn't get on their feet because of illness or disability, then they got helped out within their communities. And it worked. And that's the whole thing about Renewing American Compassion. That's the name of the book. Renewing American Compassion by, I have it in here somewhere. But that's what happened. That's how it worked. and it's the system that we have now. And that's what bottom-up government would do. It would take all those functions away from the federal government and put them back where they belong at the local level. Environment. This is a quote from Robert F. Kennedy. The federal government is America's biggest polluter. Coming from him, I thought was a pretty interesting source for that. But he acknowledges that. Countries where surrogate power has usurped indigenous power have the worst track records for environmental destruction. Most of the major well-known environmental organizations raise millions of dollars, spend the vast majority of that money. Guess where that money goes? It goes to lobbyists and attorneys. That's where the money, Sierra Club, Greenpeace, they raise millions of dollars. That money doesn't go to help directly the environment, it goes to lobbyists and attorneys. It's really unbelievable system. But trust in government's like the fox guarding the hen house. And the really incredible thing that I found in all my research, I've been involved in environmental issues for many years, is that the government has sovereign immunity. Anybody in the government, any organization or department of the government, or any contractor working with the government that damages the environment, even if it causes a death, and it has many, many times, are totally immune from prosecution. They have government immunity. So, where's the incentive not to do it? Yep. Yep. Yep.
I got a question to ask you, Ms. Clyde. If that's the case and we're in contract with them, then we would have immunity too?
You would think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Good
deep.
point.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
a reality.
Right. Hold on one second. I'm almost done. We'll get to these questions in just a second. But anyway, I have more examples of that in my other book, Restoring the Heart of America, which I know many of you have here. So, solutions. Read Common Sense Revisited for a more complete review of these bottom-up solutions. Now, let's look at the Republic. Now, I know you guys already know a lot about it, but see how this PowerPoint is. You guys can give me your feedback and critique. First of all, what our founding fathers wanted for us was a republic, not a democracy. From 1776 to 1860, it wasn't too bad. There was a lot of freedom, still operated mostly under republic. From 1860 to 2009, it's really gone downhill. After the Civil War, and then the corporate government starting in 1871, and it's gone downhill. Now here we are at 2010. What are we going to do? We have an opportunity now to do something. We have an opportunity to go back and start right. Start with the original republic. Start with the Constitution way back when it started, and build it properly based on what we've learned, what went wrong over the last 230 years. And basically what we're doing is, and we've done, is restored the republic. The Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, original Constitution with the original first 13 amendments. This has been supported, this plan, by republics in all the states. I think there's a few states that still have to get organized, but almost every state. I think 30, how many states were represented in Utah? 38?
39.
39 states were represented in Utah. That was pretty amazing.
2 days notice.
Yeah, 2 days notice. So we know now that there is a peaceful remedy to our problem of restoring our indigenous power. And that's what we're really excited about. And that's a republic for the United States of America. Purpose of tonight, this is what we do. We talk about education, an opportunity to sign into the republic by declaring your sovereign rights held by indigenous power. Sign up for your local grand juries. Now, there's we're going to confront a lot of people that are going to say, this is too good to be true, they can't believe it, and this is where education comes in. And once people get educated, then it makes it a lot easier for them to take that red pill, and especially if they see that there's a solution to our problems. Sometimes it just seems so big, and the government is so powerful, and there's so much coming at us all the time, so much legislation, so many things, that we can't see that there's a way through it. But this to me, seems to be the thing that's had more momentum. I've been working on this for 15 or 20 years now. This thing has more momentum than anything I've ever seen before. And again, we're the wealthiest slaves in the world. So what's it going to be, red pill or blue pill? Ready for the truth. Now here's a few, here's some information about what happened to us. Oh, before we get into that, there's a quote here from a Supreme Court decision. By the way, I read the whole thing. I don't know if anybody else has. But it says here, the quote is this is from a